The ancient Romans almost never carried the stubborn, deep-seated belly fat that so many people struggle with today. They rarely dealt with the energy crashes, the constant hunger, or the metabolic slowdown we associate with weight gain. And they achieved this without any modern pharmaceuticals or fad diets. If you're curious about why the ancient Romans stayed lean, energetic, and healthy deep into old age, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button so you don't miss these deep dives. For the average Roman, from a senator to a shopkeeper, the concept of a weight loss drug would have been utterly alien. The health issues we now link to obesity and metabolic dysfunction, like type 2 diabetes, severe heart disease, and fatty liver disease, were remarkably rare in their world. Their bodies simply didn't face the same internal pressures. To understand why, we have to step into the rhythm of their daily life, a rhythm that was built into the very fabric of their cities and their culture. A Roman's day began not with a sugary breakfast, but often with a simple piece of bread dipped in wine or water, perhaps with some olives or a bit of cheese. The first major movement of the day was the walk. Unless you were among the ultra-wealthy carried in a litter, you walked. You walked to the forum, you walked to your workshop, you walked to the public baths later. The city was designed for pedestrians. This wasn't exercise, it was transportation, and it meant hours of low-level, steady movement every single day. Their bodies were in a near-constant state of gentle activity, which kept the metabolism ticking over like a well-tended fire. When it came to food, their diet was a masterpiece of simplicity and seasonality. The core of every meal was what we'd call the Mediterranean trifecta: grains, vegetables, and olive oil. They ate whole grain breads and pulse, a kind of porridge made from spelt or barley. Vegetables were abundant: onions, leeks, cabbages, lentils, and beans. Fruit, especially figs and grapes, was a common dessert. Meat was not a daily staple for most. It was a luxury, often consumed in small portions or reserved for festivals. Fish was more common near the coast, and the primary fat used for cooking, dressing, and even lighting was olive oil. Refined sugar, as we know it, didn't exist. Sweetness came from honey, used sparingly, or from fresh and dried fruits. Their plates were full of fiber, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates that digested slowly. The structure of their eating was also different. The main meal, the cena, was in the late afternoon or early evening. There was no culture of constant snacking. Markets provided fresh food daily for most city dwellers, so meals were built around what was available and in season. This pattern of eating created natural periods of fasting between meals and overnight, giving their digestive systems and insulin response a regular break. Their bodies weren't constantly tasked with processing a stream of calories. Then there was the social and physical infrastructure that supported this lifestyle. The public baths were not just for getting clean, they were a cornerstone of community and recovery. A Roman would spend a few hours there several times a week, moving through the hot caldarium, the warm tepidarium, and the cold frigidarium. This practice of thermotherapy, alternating heat and cold, stimulated circulation, reduced muscle tension, and likely helped manage systemic inflammation. It was a built-in recovery ritual. After the baths, they would often take another long walk home, capping off the day. So what was happening inside a Roman body as a result of this unremarkable daily routine? The effects were profound and interconnected. Let's start with that visceral belly fat. The deep fat that wraps around organs is highly sensitive to the hormone insulin. The Roman diet, low in refined sugars and high in fiber, prevented wild spikes in blood sugar. This meant their insulin levels remained stable and low. Without constant insulin signals shouting, "Store fat," their bodies were far less likely to pack fat around the liver and abdomen. The steady all-day movement from walking further enhanced this effect. Muscles constantly burning a little fuel improved insulin sensitivity, meaning their cells were excellent at using glucose for energy instead of letting it float around in the blood. This had a direct protective effect on the liver. A modern fatty liver is often a result of the liver being overwhelmed by processing fructose and excess carbohydrates, converting them into fat. The Roman liver was mostly dealing with complex carbs, healthy fats from olive oil, and modest protein. It functioned as an efficient filter and metabolic regulator, not a fat storage warehouse. A healthy liver is crucial for regulating cholesterol, clearing toxins, and managing hormones. Speaking of hormones, this stable internal environment supported balance across the board. Steady energy from slow-burning foods meant no adrenaline and cortisol spikes from sugar crashes. Lower systemic inflammation, thanks to an antioxidant-rich diet and active lifestyle, protected their blood vessels and joints. This combination, stable blood sugar, low inflammation, efficient metabolism, created a foundation for remarkable resilience. It's why Roman texts describe men in their 60s and 70s remaining active in public life, and why concerns about libido or sexual function in later age, while present, weren't linked to the metabolic health crisis we see today. Their vitality was a byproduct of a life that demanded consistent, moderate physical engagement and provided high-quality, unprocessed fuel. The Roman secret wasn't a hack or a secret ingredient. It was the predictable output of a world that seamlessly woven movement, wholesome food, and community recovery into the pattern of every single day. Their bodies weren't fighting their environment. They were flowing with it, and the result was a leanness and vitality that came not from struggle, but from harmony. Next, we're exploring how the Roman approach to strength and manual labor built resilient, injury-proof bodies that aged gracefully. You won't want to miss that one.